After immense pressure from the outside, Formula One has finally allowed the Andretti family onto the grid. Andretti Global joins F1 for the 2024 season, where Pato O'Ward and Liam Lawson are set to go under my guidance as team principal to try and bring this team to the front of the grid over a multi-year project. Hello everybody, and welcome to a new series here on the channel, F1 Manager 2024. I never thought I was honestly going to be doing an F1 Manager series, but I felt like this was the right time to at least give it a shot here. Now, as you see our livery for this season with the Andretti Global colors, our main sponsors are Microsoft, Hugo Boss, as well as ABB to start this season. I do have a mod for these sponsors if you guys want to check it down below in the description. But immediately, we are starting some upgrades on the car. We're coming in to start our program with $20 million to work with, and we're spending $1.8 million to work on a rear wing because it felt like that was going to be something that made the biggest difference in bringing our team, our car forward. We currently have some fake affiliate drivers that we're not worried about right now, but we have Ben Mitchell as well as John Howard as our race engineers, and then you can see our staff for our car development as well as our sporting director there of Julian Rouse as we go into this brand new season of F1 action. It's going to be an exciting season of F1 action as well, as you can kind of see where we stack up with all of the facilities and whatnot. So some work to do, and it's a long-term project. Our season objective here from the board is 6 or above in the constructors, but the long-term objective is a podium contender, which is lower than my personal objective. I want to make Andretti Global a race winner. Obviously, season 1, that's not going to be realistic, but through the sponsor negotiation process, we were able to bring in $55.1 million of funding into the team as well, which is going to be great. And we as well, before the season kicked off, put more time into designing a new front wing for our car, which is also going to be $1.8 million as we head in to a new weekend of Formula One.
F1 is back, ladies and gentlemen, and the grid is set to grow. A new season is upon us as Formula One returns to the Middle East, ready to kick things off here in Bahrain. But change is afoot. The paddock has grown, the grid extended. Yes, that's right, 11 teams, 22 drivers, and the hottest competition motorsport has to offer. And keep an eye out for a new face this weekend as we prepare to see a debutant take to the track. Now let's crack on with the weekend.
So we're ready to send our cars out, and I'm going to be doing something similar to what you see Areva actually do. We're not going to manage every single race early on in this career mode, so I'm going to kind of do a race, sim a couple, do another race, so we're going to kind of like manage every 3-4 races basically, and let kind of things work itself out from simulating the rest while we kind of have a bad car. And it's our goal, of course, to make this car better throughout this season, as we, of course, were able to bring Pato O'Ward over from the McLaren team in IndyCar, and he would immediately actually find some issues in free practice 1, having a bit of a lockup here, going wide, not the start you want to see from your driver, but as well bringing in the Red Bull, of course, driver of Liam Lawson, the Red Bull family driver, I should say, to come on board with us. So we have a driver with experience in IndyCar from Pato O'Ward, and then we have a driver that's, of course, fresh on the grid with a few races under his belt of Liam Lawson last season in 2023, but the problems didn't stop in practice for Pato O'Ward. Another mistake there. He actually goes around in the penultimate corner, so a bit of a rough start to practice for the Mexican drivers. Our now duo finds themselves 21st and 22nd in the late going in free practice 1. Now, by the end of the session, Max Verstappen topped the charts, and you can see right here, actually, Lawson ends up P20 in front of Maney. Chloe Chambers as well. How about her getting a position there with the Haas team for free practice 1, but this would bring us through into now qualifying with a bit of uncertainty. O'Ward has been making a few mistakes here in practice. Lawson seems to have a little bit more overall pace than O'Ward, but obviously didn't show a lot more, so it's going to be kind of looking like we're going to be at the bottom of the grid here in qualifying. So we'll wait and see what happens. Of course, you never really know what's going to happen here in F1, and especially with a new team, so hoping for the best as we come into this weekend, or specifically into this Saturday night here, as you see some focus there on Carlos Sainz and Ferrari now as we are ready to roll for qualifying. Now, my goal in this weekend here in Bahrain isn't really much. It's just simply have a smooth weekend, let things happen here. Now, as you can see, Lawson, he was struggling with some confidence in the setup. You can see it on the right side. He's not very confident in it. We made some final changes, hoping that that's going to make him happy with what we got. And Award, he's a lot more content. Actually, really not. He's only a little bit more content with the setup here. But nonetheless, we'll see which one finds a success. Liam Lawson immediately here in Q1 finds himself in trouble. He's got Kevin Magnussen in the Haas looking up his inside to start his flying lap into turn 1 and basically ruins Lawson's lap immediately. I mean, what the is the Haas even doing out there?
Looks like normal Magnussen things.
You hear myself as well as one of our directors, Mark, on the radio talking about that. So we had to call Lawson in. That ruined the lap. So he's going to have to try again as Award, though, comes through to cross the stripe. And he actually goes ahead of Ocon, Piastri, Magnussen. So that was good to see while Lawson brings it in. But Award on his cooldown lap would actually go for a spin. How do you manage that? Award spins round on the cooldown lap. That's his third mistake of the weekend. His second spin in the final turn. He's coming back to the pits and he loops it around. What a mess that is. And now we've got more problems. He has gone past the pit lane. He has not come into the pits. So now he's going to run out of fuel. He doesn't have enough fuel to go around one more time. This is going to create another issue as Lawson's currently on an out lap, but the red flag will be out. The session suspended due to Award stopped. He's run out of fuel in the middle of the circuit. An absolute disaster start for our team and its start in Formula 1 with Andretti Global. So, Lawson's been screwed twice. We would put on a new set of softs. Award's done. Award's completely done for the day, or for the night, of course, but it was at the very end of the session when Lawson finally gets a run. Award down to P18, and Liam Lawson just didn't quite have the pace he needed. He rounds the final turn down the front straightaway. Can he find anything? He needs 3/10 to beat 21st of Magnussen. He finds the 3/10. He goes quicker, but Kevin Magnussen would find the time as well to improve. He crosses the stripe. He goes all the way up to P17, and it's going to be 19th and 22nd for us as Sergio Perez would end up getting the pole position over Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, as well as Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, your top 5. But yeah, 19th and 22nd for us. We've got some work to do here with Andretti Global, our first race, and it's not been a smooth weekend so far. So we come in to Sunday, or Saturday night actually, this is in 2024. Qualifying was Friday night, and you know, having some hopes that we can just, you know, have a mistake-free night. Award has made mistakes all weekend long here, and now as you can see their confidence, now Lawson's coming into the Grand Prix with more confidence here. Now we're going to make them drive really aggressive on the start, and you can see the strategy, soft, mediums for Lawson, but it's going to be soft, medium, soft for Award.
You're witnessing a new chapter in Formula 1 as 11 teams line up on the grid. Well, they certainly appear calm and composed heading into this race.
We witnessed some incredible feats in Formula 1, but surely getting something from this P22 start is asking too much.
But there's no more time left. We've got a race on our hands. This is it. 22 cars on the grid. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Sergio Perez leads the field down towards turn 1. Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, second, third into this opening corner. Award, Lawson trying to make up the time they can, or the positions they can, I should say, into this first turn. Everybody is slow here. It's 3 wide. Look at I believe that's Sargent in the Williams that was going off circuit, cutting the whole corner. Lawson, Award, they don't really make up anything as they continue on. Award, though, up into P18, and I don't know what happened to Lawson way behind there, but Award's going to settle in just behind K-Mag. Kevin Magnussen there in the Haas, as well Pierre Gasly just behind Perez, out in front by 7/10 of a second. Keep in mind the season DRS will be enabled at the end of lap number 1, coming to start that second lap. Yuki Tsunoda into P10, a solid start for the Japanese driver. Max Verstappen P5, some work to be done there for the 3-time consecutive now world champion, trying to make it 4, as you can see, settling in now as Lawson's closing up on the back of Ocon here. Now they are on a bit different strategies. I got them swapped around the wrong way. Lawson's on the soft, medium, soft, while Award is on the soft, soft, medium strategy here at the end of lap 1. Trouble! Leclerc's gone round and Verstappen's run into the back of him already. We got some drama to kick off this new season. Verstappen's going to have damage. Leclerc's race has been ruined immediately, and we'll see an immediate look at the replay. Verstappen closing with the slipstream, misjudges his braking zone, plows into the back of the Monegasque driver, and crashing he goes. And Verstappen is going to take a big hit to the front end on that car, but Leclerc, stationary for several seconds, is going to put him all the way to the back of the grid here now as we settle in. No safety car, no nothing. We just get back going, but wow, drama immediately to start the season. Of course, our car, it's not the quickest, so, you know, chaos is exactly what we are looking for as a team to be able to pounce on opportunities here now. But yeah, Leclerc down to 22nd place. He's probably going to be coming into the pits, and I would assume, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Max Verstappen hit with a time penalty, but you're going to see, look at the damage there. I would expect Verstappen to pit quite soon, and there it is at the top of the screen, a 5-second time penalty here for a collision caused. So Verstappen, yeah, a very uncharacteristic mistake there from the Dutchman now. But yeah, it helps us, certainly, on Leclerc. I don't know, I think Verstappen can probably still manage a good result out of it. But as we come through to the end of lap 3, or starting lap 3, Leclerc, in fact, does come into the pits here. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of recovery he can do, as I've got Lawson deploying the battery, trying to put some pressure on the back of Esteban Ocon. Couldn't quite make it happen, as now Verstappen starting to go down the order. He's down to P8, and he's probably going to continue to struggle until he pits. But there was a bit of a battle going on here up front between Perez and Lando Norris. While Perez is on the softs, Norris is on the mediums, and he is hanging with Perez and actually goes around the outside, nearly contact there, and to the lead he would go. But as that was happening, Award's joining a bit of a battle of his own between Bottas as well as Magnussen, and you see there's a position gained up in a P16, and as that was happening moments later, Lawson getting an overtake done up the inside of Pierre Gasly, and then it wasn't over. Now lap 7, you see Lawson going for a pass there on Esteban Ocon, and he'll complete that into turn 1. So going forward, as you see, so much managing coming from myself here, just trying to make things happen, but it wasn't over. Ocon actually gets him back with the DRS, as we were now trying to save some battery, but Verstappen finally comes into the pits here on lap 8 with the damage, serves a 5-second time penalty, gets those softs on, goes on to the medium compound tire, a brand new wing. It's going to be a recovery drive from here on out for Verstappen, who's now in P21. As you can see, Lawson going back and forth with Esteban Ocon. As you can see, both of our drivers are kind of going forward, going backwards a bit, as Awards actually lost a spot there to Valtteri Bottas, and then Lawson's getting passed by Zhou, so both of these Sauber kit cars kind of going forward. Not what we want to see, of course. Our car is supposed to be quite a bit better when it comes to preserving tires, so I'm curious to see how that's going to go throughout some of these runs. But you can see Award actually getting Bottas back. These two really going at it, and it wasn't over. I mean, at the exit of turn 10 on the run towards turn 11, Bottas again goes for an overtake and gets the job done. So these two going back and forth, and it continues to lap 13 now. Award on the inside gets them done again, and Zhou's trying to join this party. He's been working his way forward while Lawson's been going backwards. So Lawson seems to be struggling with confidence as this race goes on. He will be going onto the medium compound tire, while Award will be going on to another set of softs, and we have now come into the pit window here on lap 16. So we're going to be bringing our drivers in for pit stops. Now we're going to pit Lawson first. He seems to be the one that's in a situation where he really needs it, so he's going to come in at the end of this lap, lap 17, and actually Zhou has pitted this lap as well, so he might leapfrog Award as well as his teammate of Valtteri Bottas. So Award's going to come in at the end of this lap, and unfortunately Verstappen actually kind of hindered Award's time a little bit, passing him a little bit later on that lap. But Bottas, Award come in here, starting lap 18, softs off, mediums on to the Sauber. That's a different strategy from Award, who's going to a second set of softs. So Bottas is kind of on the same idea of Lawson. As you see, Award comes out behind the Sauber, but here comes Zhou Guanyu, passes both of them, he goes through. So now what can Zhou do as this run goes on? Lawson all the way at the back of the grid. Right now, 21st and 22nd, but Award putting quick work on those soft compound tires, driving a little bit aggressive right now. Adam pushing, but we weren't pushing hard on fuel right now. We were currently 0.3 kilograms under field on both cars, so I was trying to play it a little bit safe there, as Pierre Gasly actually lap 20 has a major pit stop issue that's going to set him way behind everybody. Watch this. This is a double stack actually. Ocon just pitted. He's trying to take the mediums off, but they can't get that right rear wheel off. That's 5+ seconds delay before they even get that wheel off the car. Nearly 10 seconds as they finally would get it on and off the medium compound and get the softs on, but that would cost them a massive amount of time as well. We had yellows as that was happening due to contact between the two V-Carb teammates. Sonoda washing wide into Ricardo, and they come together, but fortunately no accident, no damage here as things are kicking off in this Grand Prix as we close in towards the halfway point now. As you can see, Award has put a nice comfortable gap over Bottas and has run down Logan Sargent in the Williams. He will make the move into P17 again as Lawson runs P21, 2 seconds back from Esteban Ocon, but this was not over yet. Logan Sargent trying to keep this fight alive, and he would kind of make Award's life a bit miserable, as you're going to see here, as now lap 24, Sargent at the run towards turn 11 is going to lunge one up the inside of the Mexican driver on those medium compound tires, and you can see right there Award with a bit of a rough eggs that puts him back behind. So Sargent's really costing us time, and this battle continues. Lap 24 now, up the inside he goes. He will take the position back again, but not what we want to be doing, so I'm trying to get him to deploy some battery to keep himself ahead of Sargent, as Lawson's just kind of on his own situation right now. Not a great race going for him. As you can see towards the end of the lap again, Sargent going for a move on Award. He is not giving this up as he goes round. Sargent, the United States driver, spun out of the final turn. Was there contact off the left front of Award? I don't think so, because you don't see any like kind of warning marker beside his name. We'll take another look. This is going to be on board, so it's going to be hard to tell. I don't think there's contact. I think he just spun himself around. I mean, looks good on him, racing us that hard. You hear my radio to the team, or to everybody there now, as we actually have yellow flags again a little bit later on, and it's our own driver, it's Lawson, who's had a spin. Oh my goodness, it was Award in practice and qualifying. It's Lawson in the Grand Prix who's just not having a good night. He's behind Logan Sargent, and all on his own. He spun around all on his own, 100% his fault, and now that really kind of throws us, you know, a bit of a rough night for Lawson. There's not much he can do. He's 5.5 seconds back from Sargent. He still has a 12-second gap on Gasly. We're going to keep him on the same strategy. His tires weren't in that bad of shape. So lap 27, Bottas starting to plow his way back forward on his mediums. He was able to pass Award now. Of course, Award, keep in mind, on a second set of softs, so those mediums seem to be starting to come in. Battle for the lead as well happening at this point. Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris going at it. As you can see, Leclerc hasn't really gone anywhere. He's actually been passed by Award now. He's on really old medium compound tires, of course, pitting really early after that crash with Max Verstappen. He actually pits on lap 30, and he'll be going on to another set of mediums, and that will take him to the end of the Grand Prix. So Award now 2.5 seconds behind. As you can see, Pierre Gasly eventually runs down Lawson and is able to pass him. So this second run for Lawson has been an absolute disaster on these medium compound tires. So we're going to be putting him on softs to bring him to the end of this race. So he's going to go a little bit further than Pato Award, who's closing in on his pit window. As you see, Max Verstappen, he's just made his second pit stop. So right now running P12 as he's having a solid recovery drive. But we're about to bring in Pato Award here, but he was actually getting lapped. You can see Sainz Norris coming up the inside. Blue flags for Award. He has to get out of the way. Oh my goodness, that's the worst. getting out of the way I've ever seen. And look at the time he loses because he was so terrible at doing it. So he gives up a major amount of ground to the cars ahead. But at the end of this lap, lap 36, Zhou is coming into the pits about a lap earlier than us again, so we'll see how that works out for Zhou in the long run, who's on the softs. So Award's going to be coming on to the mediums, and at the end of this lap, he actually got ran down by Esteban Ocon, who had about 12% fresher softs, and Ocon in the Alpines up the inside. He's going to get the job done on Award, who was really struggling on this lap. Maybe should have considered pitting him one lap earlier, but nonetheless, we bring him in lap 37. He gets the medium compound tires on. He's going to head back onto the racetrack, and we'll see what he can do in this final run. And it was lap 40 when we bring Lawson in for his final stop. He will be going on to the softs, but he's got a major amount of ground to make up if he wants to pass anybody now. Award's going to settle in about P18 or so, it looks like now, but Bottas still has to come into the pits. Maybe we can leapfrog Bottas again, but he had quite a comfortable gap by the time we brought Award into the pits as we come to 10 laps to go at this point, and it's Lando Norris out in front. Bottas had made his pit stop, and look at the gaps. Award is 9 seconds behind Zhou Guanyu, the next car ahead. Lawson's 13 seconds behind the next car ahead of Pierre Gasly. So we're both having both of our drivers kind of on a land of their own right now. But Award's kind of running about what I would like to see out of our car in our first race. Lawson's just not doing anything tonight, as it looks like Verstappen's got some damage actually on his rear wing there. Not sure where that came from, but he's had a heck of a drive back forward from the penalty and the crash. P6 right now. But as laps go on, look at the gap. Award is running down Zhou. He's gained a few seconds, 7 seconds right now to Zhou, and Lawson as well is closing in on Pierre Gasly. But Award just continues to march his way forward as these laps go on. By the time we come to lap 51, he had cut the gap down to 2.5, now less than 1 second, to Zhou Guanyu, who seems to be really struggling on his set of soft compound tires, while Award's really making these mediums work. It seems like the mediums are really working in the late stages of this Grand Prix. Lawson as well is continuing to reel in Gasly, 8.8 seconds. So suddenly both of our drivers are putting really good final stints together, and here we go. Award up the inside, P17 on the grid. We will absolutely take that. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with P17 in our first race, considering our car, it is at the bottom of the grid, and of course we'll dive into a bit of a closer look as now Zhou runs wide out of the penultimate corner. That's perfect for us. We have a comfortable gap now, but like I said, we'll dive into the next episode, kind of the specifics of where everything's ranking for us in our cars here as we come to 3 laps to go. Lawson continues to close now as I put him on full attack. He has half a kilogram extra, so we'll on field get him to push as well and see if he can do anything now. But 2 laps to go, he cuts the gap to just under 5 seconds. Award in his own land now. Final lap though, it's Lando Norris out in front, just getting ready to get his first win in Formula 1. Lawson 3 seconds now to Gasly as he will have his final lap underway. Award still got a lap and a half of racing to go to try and manage the gap to now Esteban Ocon. Zhou Guanyu's fallen off a cliff. He's been passed by Ocon. He's been passed by Sargent as well. He is struggling so hard. Have to think there's maybe some kind of issue there or something. But Ocon had gotten within a second and a half of Award, but we should be okay as I decided to get him pushing hard on this final lap now. Lando Norris rounds the final turn, and for the first time in Formula 1, Lando Norris is a Grand Prix winner.
Let's focus. Let's go, guys. Thank you so much.
Norris wins the Grand Prix over Sainz and Perez. What a recovery drive from Verstappen, who will end up P6. Lawson got within a second and a half of Gasly. What a final stint after a mistake-filled Grand Prix. Lawson, though, still dead last. Not what we want there. And Pato Award had opened the gap back up to Esteban Ocon. It's going to be P17 for our second car in this Andretti Global team. But the second car outperformed car number 1 tonight. Pato Award rounds the final turn down the front straightaway. P17, that's more what we want to see to kick off a season here. Hopefully Lawson can get a little bit closer next episode. Right, great job, Pato. Great night for you. Great driving, smooth. You made up for your mistakes there over the weekend. Liam, obviously a bit of a rough night for you, but we're going to work on it. No reason to panic. We'll come back stronger. You hear my radio to the team, or to our drivers specifically, as Lando Norris gets to celebrate his first win in Formula 1. His good friend Carlos Sainz joins him on the podium. Pole winner Sergio Perez dropped down to P3 by the end of the Grand Prix there, but overall, a fun experience in race 1, a bit stressful at times, just trying to figure out what I need to do, really, to manage an F1 team to be successful throughout a Grand Prix. I'm new to this whole managing games situation, so if you guys can leave any tips down below, absolutely do that. Do not hesitate. I would greatly appreciate it, because the reality is I simply don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of rolling with the flow. But yeah, P10 in the Constructors, Alpine at the very bottom of the grid here after this Bahrain Grand Prix. Now, going into the next episode, we'll have a few races simulated, as well as, of course, manage our own. As you see, the rest of the finishing order, Leclerc only manages P15, a rough night for the Ferrari driver after an early accident with Max Verstappen. That does it for me. I will see you guys for episode number 2 next time out. Thank you for watching, and have yourselves a great day.